family, one people, one planet, one love, one family, one people, one planet, one love.
Good morning and welcome to SoulCall Sunday. My name is Lisa Ferrero. I'm the founder and spiritual director of SoulCall Ministries. And I may not be the first to wish you a Happy New Year, but it's the first Sunday of 2021. I had to think about that for a minute. And I know many of my friends actually stayed up to make sure midnight happened and that 2020 is truly, for the first time, as many are saying, 2020 is in the rearview mirror. It's gone, and hindsight is 2020, and all those other fun things that people are saying about it. But with the brand new year, it seems it's the opportunity for us to experience new beginnings and New Year's resolutions. And so we're going to offer a new tradition this year, and building on the Qigong practices, just pulling in the light. We'll start incorporating some affirmations to give us more to chew on with the mind and the consciousness. So we welcome you into 2021, and the topic for today is new beginnings, forming new habits. And may a new habit form for you to experience this beautiful Qigong practice of participating more fully with the energy within us and around us at all times. So welcome, Deborah Weisenberger-Lippitz.
All right, a fresh new year. Now we are going to put together Huan, Yong, Ling, Tong, chanting all as one. Please look forward. Drop the mind's consciousness into the center of the head and gently close the eyes, pulling all senses inside. From the mind's home, feel the mind shining brightly inside. Connect to the sky and pull the qi down into the body, all the way through all tissues and layers to the bubbling spring, and open up and connect to the earth, through the earth into infinite space, and back up into the body. Now we are connected above, grounded from below. We are the qi in between and a part of all things, all working together as one. Now, please allow the arms to float up. Place the arms on the lungs. The chant for the lungs, Huan, Huan, Huan. Now move the hands to the kidneys. The chant for the kidneys, Yuan, Yuan, Yuan. Move the hands to the solar plexus, Huanyang Palace. The chant for the solar plexus, Huanyang Palace. Ling, 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 Ling. And now opening up the entire body. From the solar plexus radiating outward, Tong, Tong, Tong. Now put it all together. One, Yuan, Ling, Tong. One, Yuan, Ling, Tong. Huan, 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 Yuan, Ling, Tong. Then stop. The entire body, lungs, kidneys, solar plexus, Huanyan palace, all tissues, layers, now filled with chi, all functions and abilities, perfect harmony. Place the hands upon the navel, bringing all the chi inside, keeping the mind consciousness in the center of the head. Relax the hands to both sides, gently open the eyes, and give thanks, knowing this chant can be repeated often for as long as it feels right to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. What a beautiful way to begin. And just staying in the consciousness of these chakras, these wheels of energy, learning the taproot nature of our being as soul, as consciousness. We invite you to stay in the stillness with the beautiful song inspired by the poetry of Rumi. Come to the root of yourself.
Don't go away, come near. Don't be faithless. Find courage in the fear. Come to the root of yourself. Love is a stranger with a language rarely understood. At home amidst danger, come to the root of yourself. Get hold of selflessness. Your ego is left behind. A lover is made defenseless. Come to the root of yourself. Open your hidden eyes. You are the seal on a treasure, and you're a diamond mine. Come to the root of yourself. You've come from the presence of the friend, a little drunk but gentle, and stealing our hearts with that look so full of fire. Come to the root of yourself. Surely we met before the beginning of time. The table was set, glory
And coming to the root of yourself means, when we take stock in the new year, that we're going to do that New Year's resolution this time. It's time for new beginnings. And with new beginnings and maybe a new resolution, sometimes we wonder why some people succeed with their New Year's resolutions and others have challenges. Maybe we all have challenges that we have to overcome, but eventually we succeed. Or sometimes 2 weeks into it or 3 weeks into it, we just abort mission on that and just give up. And why is it that some people succeed and while others don't? One of the reasons is habits, our good habits or our bad habits. Sometimes people have the good habit of doing things systematically. They know how to work their brains. They know how to harness their consciousness, so to speak, to create avenues of exploration and not to get lost in it or to lose their way. Some of these habits are conscious habits. Some of them are completely unconscious habits. And it's those unconscious habits that could be the tricky ones. Like, for example, when I was younger, when I was a little kid, and as soon as I was able to walk and be out left in the yard by myself, I would start climbing trees. Some of you know this. I would climb. There were two trees. One was the cherry tree, which was my favorite, and the apple tree was, I heard different things depending on which tree I was in. But I would sing from the top of my lungs, from the top of these trees. And my habit, this was a prenatal habit. I came into this life as a singer. I already had this music of the spheres constantly in my brain. I hear symphonies all the time. It's just something that I tried to sing forth what I was hearing. Came into the world with that. The habit of singing, and I couldn't stop. You couldn't make me stop. So when I would get called into the house for dinners, for example, I had this habit of humming all the time. So sitting, eating dinner, my father would be sitting at the head of the table, and I'd be with 6 other people, my 5 brothers and sisters, 4 brothers and sisters, my parents. My father would look down the left side of the table and just say, "Don't hum when you eat." I didn't even realize I was doing it, is the thing. So it was a habit that was an unconscious habit. This habit continued throughout my life. Now I'm 16 years old and I'm going to ask for the car, and I'm also going to ask for some money to just go to the movies with my friends. I was always humming. When I wasn't talking, I would just hum. So I asked my father, may I have $5 to go to the movies? He'd say, "Don't sing when you ask me for money." It was hilarious because it's eventually how I made my life. My life's work is singing for money. But with him, I wasn't allowed to hum when I asked for money. So it irritated him. So I'm like, all right. So I had to figure out how to stop doing that. Fast forward. Now I'm working in corporate America, in meetings, doing job interviews with people, and also sales meetings, training meetings, or just numbers meetings, looking at things like this. And you guessed it, I'm sitting there at the table humming. And I had a friend that would just, touch my arm and say, "You're humming." So now I really needed to do something about it because I was humming constantly. Unconscious as I was, it wasn't, offensive to anyone really, but it was just kind of, you don't hum in business meetings. I do. So fortunately for me, at the same time, I was starting to develop the habit of meditation, which really taught me how to harness the power of my attention to find out. This was a deep-seated habit that I was completely unconscious of. Those are the ones we got to get a hold of. It reminded me of how timely the Bhagavad Gita, the very opening of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Hindu Bible, so to speak. It talks about Lord Krishna and Arjuna, who is the greatest disciple of Krishna. And Arjuna is the one who gets it, who really gets it, right? So the blind king spoke. On the holy plain of Kurukshetra, gathered together, eager for battle, my children, the Kurus and the Pandus. What did they, O Sanjaya? So the Kurus and the Pandus, the field, Kurukshetra, is the field of our consciousness. And the good habits and the bad habits, the positive tendencies and the negative tendencies, those are the children on the battlefield of our consciousness. They're all there. Good children and bad children are the habits that we have, the Kurus and the Pandus. What did they? We could ask ourselves this question every morning. Which habits win? Our good tendencies or our evil tendencies? Evil meaning the ones that bring us further away from the mark. Good and evil, positive, negative, ones that help us hit the bullseye and those that pull us further from the mark. And there's this beautiful illustration of Lord Krishna in a chariot with Arjuna. So Arjuna is seated in the chariot, and these horses are the five senses. And so for us to harness, with the help of Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, universal intelligence, God consciousness, to harness our senses, to make sure that our good habits are ruling the day, or winning on that battlefield of Kurukshetra, the holy plane of our consciousness is how they describe it, the holy plane of our consciousness. So for me, I needed to understand and get to the root of this humming thing is purely involuntary. I don't even know I'm doing it. And in so doing, I went through layers and layers and layers of my consciousness to get to the root of the thing that I came in with, which isn't necessarily a negative tendency. But it's one I didn't have control over. Even our good habits, we got to have control over those too. Harnessing the power of the senses, like Krishna in that golden chariot of consciousness, being guided by source. That's us. So if you can hold that mental image with you this year while you're working on creating good habits that will support whatever it is that you're after, whatever it is that you want to achieve. By now, some of us know where we get tripped up, but sometimes we don't. Allow yourself this opportunity for meditation. So for me, the habit of music taught me a lot about myself, where I can get off track a little bit. Socrates said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit." So we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit. He also said, and I found this one really funny, it's possible that a human could live twice as long if he didn't spend the first half of his life acquiring habits that shorten the second half. I thought, right. So consciousness and habits, creating habits. The nature of habits could be understood a couple of different ways. There's so many metaphors for it. One that I like to think about is, imagine you want to get down to the lake and you pull your car off to the side of the road, and you could see the lake over some tall trees, not trees like grass. And you know that it's down there. Maybe you're the first person who's arrived this spring to get down to the lake for a picnic. So you kind of start walking and you kind of cut the path through the tall grass down to the lake. And coming back, you would most likely choose to walk the same path you walked to get down to the lake, since the grass is already bent some. Then maybe you leave and go home. And when you leave, somebody else pulls up. Maybe it's your second thought. It's another thought that comes to try to get down to the lake. They can see that somebody's already cut a path. Most often, habits are formed by repeated action, cutting the same groove. The more people that walk that path, maybe it's the second thought, they walk that path. Now the grass is a little more bent. Third person, the same thing. Before you know it, you've got a clear-cut path. Habits are like that. These things that we repeat will kind of fire and make hard and fixed a path or a groove. How difficult then to undo these patterns of thought once they're cut deep. So I suggest, we shouldn't allow ourselves to have what I call, and I'd say this with my coaching clients, don't let yourself develop crop circle consciousness. Have you ever seen a crop circle like that? In the middle of nowhere, there's this pattern that you have no idea how in the heck it got there. Our thoughts like that. Don't allow yourself to have crop circle consciousness where you're doing things, you're cutting grooves, but you have no idea why you're doing it or what the heck happened. You just have no clue why. So allow yourself to experience, what we can do differently. So forming good and lasting habits. And the thing is to remember is we can only do new things to the degree that we've learned to acquire good habits, which support our growth and a capacity for change. So how we acquire good habits that support our growth and change. So lucky for us this year, a gentleman who has studied behavioral psychology at Stanford University. His name is Dr. B.J. Fogg, F-O-G-G. What an interesting name for somebody who brings clarity to have a last name of Fogg, but that's where we are, people. In his new book, it's called Tiny Habits, and Dr. Fogg is from Stanford University. And in his book, Tiny Habits, he distills 20 years of working in a behavior science lab at Stanford University to 3 things: creating habits, why things last and why some things don't last. And he said, I've learned 3 things that will change your behavior for the long term. The first one is to have an epiphany. The second thing is to change your environment. And the third thing is to take baby steps, baby steps. And we can all agree, he says, that creating an epiphany is difficult. So let's rule out option 1. That's not something you have control over unless you have magical powers or something. On the other hand, option B and C are practical, and they can lead to lasting change if you follow the right program. So these tiny habits, in the book, he illustrates developing the habit. Say somebody's New Year's resolution was to practice yoga every morning for 20 minutes. They were going to do yoga. And he said, well, how are you going to be sure you're going to do it? Well, this is the year I'm just going to do it, this person says. And he said, that's a pretty ambitious goal, to be so assured that you're going to do 20 minutes of yoga. And what he kept doing with this particular client, is which I do with my coaching clients, is just keep taking it back to the smallest thing, the smallest step. I always liken things to food because that's how I roll. But it's just like eating a sandwich. I would say you've got the whole of the sandwich there. It could nourish your body if you take it in bites. And then chew those bites so that your body can digest and assimilate this new habit. And before you know it, you've cut a new groove that you were conscious of, and it becomes a reliable part of your nature, a reliable part of your character, a good habit which supports your growth and development. Then you can take that habit and apply it to any other thing you want to do in your life. So he rolls this yoga enthusiast back to one simple step. And he said, okay, well, maybe I'll roll it back and do 5 minutes of yoga in the morning. And he said, no, that's not it. What he distills it down to is all you need to commit to doing is getting the yoga mat and opening it up. That's it. Get the yoga mat and open it up every day. And that's what this person did. And before you know it, there was some days he really didn't want to do yoga, so he didn't. But he always made himself get the mat. Get the mat and open it up. And what he was getting the habit of was waking up and going to the yoga mat. Simple, taking that first bite. I was reading this and I was thinking about, for me, and I want you to think about where in your life can you take that one small, tiny habit, create a tiny habit that supports you. Maybe you've already done this in other places that you can take. Maybe you've created a growth and learning opportunity for yourself, the habit of growing and learning, where you can apply that to different things. Like, so for me, I wanted to play piano a lot more when I moved here. And what I would do, my tiny habit was I drink a cup of coffee in the morning. I would get my cup of coffee and immediately take it downstairs to the music room and sit with the piano. I drink coffee with my left hand, maybe play something with my right hand, or the other way around. But the habit was, just like I had the coffee habit, step 2 is take the coffee downstairs. I did the same thing with the guitar. There's a particular chair. I first made sure that the guitar was always out and in the stand, as it is today, so that I could at least see it. It would be inviting. Then I had to get my cup of coffee and sit in the chair, only in the chair, beside where I had the guitar in the stand, and to not allow myself to look at anything on my phone or anything else. I would just sit there. Maybe I would just contemplate things. But eventually I'd take a few sips, I'd put the coffee down, and I'd reach for the guitar. And it helped me to develop the habit of allowing myself play guitar. We'll talk more about habits when we get into the new year and cultivating true freedom through good habits. But remember, just the tiny steps, if we can create one tiny habit. So whatever it is you're thinking of doing, break it down to the smallest thing. And so start today. Make up your mind to use all the force of your will. Paramahansa Yogananda liked to talk about willpower and won't power. And the two of these things together are quite dynamic. It's the things you will do and the things you won't do. So develop won't power. And this combination of willpower, won't power, is driven by the ultimate wisdom of your soul and the super strength that we have as a resource of infinite intelligence working with us, like that chariot, harnessing our senses and directing, getting all those horses going in the same direction to serve this useful purpose. So do the little things necessary to make a new habit in your mind. The little things necessary to make the new habit in your mind. And make time for God and watch how it increases your will and your resolve. Invite the infinite into your mind, into your consciousness, and the development of the new habit. And you'll have this new friend, this new relationship with the only friend, the friend of all friends, who's always helping and encouraging us through our good tendencies. So in closing, I want us to repeat an affirmation that I love. And it's one from Scientific Healing Affirmations. So I invite you in the development of your new habit, getting deep into your subconscious mind, where I needed to go to find out where I needed to get a hold of my unconscious habit of humming. I still hum when I eat good food, but I know I'm doing it now. And I could turn it off and turn it on. That was helpful. So what can be helpful for you? So I invite you, I'm going to read this affirmation, and then I'll say it 3 times, and you can affirm after me. Heavenly Beloved, strengthen my determination to discard wrong habits, which attract negative vibrations, and to form right habits, which attract positive vibrations. So we'll do it 3 times together. But close your eyes and envision that light that Deborah pulls in, teaches us how to pull in, awakening all of your cells on this battlefield of the holy plane of your consciousness. Summon the leaders of light, the leaders of your positive tendencies. Summon them to battle, the victorious battle of your consciousness to serve the wisdom of your soul. Heavenly Beloved, strengthen my determination to discard wrong habits, which attract negative vibrations, and to form right habits, which attract positive vibrations. Heavenly Beloved, strengthen my determination to discard wrong habits, which attract negative vibrations, and to form right habits, which attract positive vibrations. Heavenly Beloved, strengthen my determination to discard wrong habits, which attract negative vibrations, and to form right habits, which attract positive vibrations. So my wish for you this year is that you summon and awaken those positive vibrations that are innate. They are part of our being. They're the root of yourself, is the wisdom and the truth which resides in your soul. And the reward of the new beginning will be the joy of success. Enjoy this song.
When I am open, gentle and slow, a dozen of diamonds, no, it was cold. I came from somewhere, and I will go, trusting that spirit makes me whole. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. It's the place that you know you're never alone. Spiraling upward beyond spirit and skin, courageous and formless, where we begin. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. It's the place that you know you're never alone. When I am open, gentle and slow, dazzling a diamond, no, it was cold. I came from somewhere and I will go, trusting that spirit makes me whole. Gentle and slow, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. I came from somewhere, come back, come back, come back. I will go, come back, come back, come back, come back. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. It's the place that you know you're never alone. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. You can always come back home, come back home, come back home. It's the place that you know you're never alone. Come back, come back, come back. Come back, come back, come back. Come back, come back, come back.
Yeah, Come Back Home, the music of Seeker 7. Almost exactly a couple days from now, it'll be a year ago that we went into the studio in Woodstock to record that. And so glad we got an early start on it. And so get an early start this year. New beginnings. Welcome the new year with the new beginnings, the new habits. And know that you are supercharged with infinite will. You are a willful dynamo, and you can do it. Just catching those tiny habits, that one small step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and then it's put one foot in front of the other, isn't it? It's this little combo thing. So write to us and let us know how you're doing. Or if you're in need of prayer to help you keep going on your path for a new habit, prayers@soulcallministries.org. If you're feeling challenges this year already, or just in need of prayer for health or financial support or anything like this, please don't take it with you this evening all by yourself. Allow us to pray with you and for you. prayers@soulcallministries.org. I am so excited that we get to offer a class coming up. It's going to start on Tuesday. We're going to do it 2 times a week, Tuesday evenings and Wednesday mornings. And the class is Catching the Mystical Thread, What the Mystics Know. And we're going to play a little video with Reverend David Leonard. He and I are going to teach this class together, and it's going to be one of the finest ones we put forth. So check it out.
There's a man named Richard Rohr who's written a wonderful book called What the Mystics Know: The 7 Pathways to Your Own Deeper Self. And basically he says, this is how you live your life from a place of non-judgment and quiet contentment. This is how you discover those deeper levels of the divine union with God, who is closer to you than your own self. I mean, it just is so exciting. And just briefly, the 7 pathways that we'll be covering in 8 weeks. And then our 8th class will be where you get to do your projects. Lisa and I love that. But the first week, we'll talk about the enlightenment that you seek already dwells within you. How profound is that? The second week, God is found in our imperfections. The third week, from great suffering always comes great wisdom and joy. And then the fourth week is the mystic path is a celebration of paradox. In other words, you need to know the darkness to find the light. Sometimes we have to fall down to get up. I love paradox. The fifth one is contemplation means practicing heaven now. Keep your conversations in heaven, he's saying. The sixth one is to discover the truth, you must become the truth. Isn't that sweet? And then lastly, when you are transformed, others will be transformed through you. So we do the work on ourselves and others are changed. How doesn't get any better than that? So we'll have fun. Please join us.
Yeah, it's going to be a great class. So we invite you again, soulcallministries.org/classes. We also thank you for your donations. Your donations keep Soul Call Ministries going. We are in the process of looking for space when we can meet again. All kinds of exciting things. Your donations have helped us to raise $7,500, which we distributed supplies, food. We helped people who all through with our Soul Squad, all through the month of December, and that's going to continue through the new year. Outreach and helping people who are in need of a little help struggling through this global pandemic and the shifts and changes that have come forth. We've got teams of people in different cities starting. And if you're interested in becoming a Soul Squad member in your city, send us an email at soulsquad@soulcallministries.org. And your donations, which we accept graciously, it's soulcallministries.org/donate. soulcallministries.org/donate. No amount is too big or too small. We really appreciate it. And we're doing really beautiful and powerful work in the world. I'd like to thank Deborah Weisenberger-Lippitz for being with us this morning. Next week, Reverend Christy Hardwick is going to join us for the Soul Call Sunday message, where she'll talk about gifts, sharing your gifts. On Tuesday evenings, every Tuesday night, we do what we call Soul Call Rewind, which is walking the talk. And it's 6 p.m. You've got to go to the website to register to receive the link to get into the live Zoom room. It's a live chat where we talk about some of the wisdom shared in the talk and just touch base, do a little praying together. But it's always fun, and you get to meet new people from our global community, our conscious global community. So that invitation is open to you, and hope we can see you there. And sign up for our newsletter on the website, soulcallministries.org, and you'll find out all the amazing things that are happening. We've got a new Wisdom Wednesday, Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe on Wednesday morning. Natalia Zuckerman interviews a young artist who's amazing. You're going to want to see that. It's available live stream it's available on our YouTube channel. So for more information, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us and share us on Facebook, please, and Instagram, and sign up for our newsletter. Mostly, we thank you for harnessing your consciousness this new year and directing it toward the love that you are, coming back home to the root of yourself. That wisdom that dwells within is what Reverend David was saying. That's going to be taught in the Mystic class. And we want you to know that you're not alone, and we welcome you wherever you are on the path. And remember always, no matter what is going on in your world, you are loved. Peace and blessings.